My name is Daniel Cecalacean, and I'm a senior product manager with Opengear, responsible for our software efforts. Some of you may know that as the Lighthouse platform from our previous presentations. My background has been for the past 15, 20 years in the data center, IT infrastructure, kind of mission critical space, but has been transitioning recently into this remote access and management solution space where what I'm really mostly excited about is how this software can be the driver, the enabler of how we can deliver additional value to our customers. Knowing how technical this audience is, I did come here with reinforcements. I have, Matt Whitmer over there. Many of you guys may know him, a seasoned network engineer. And I have Andy Pierce, a seasoned, solution software architect as well. And I will be relying heavily on them to assist me with any questions you guys may be throwing at me. So in the first section of our session today, I'm going to quickly go through who Opengear is, what we do, how we've been serving our customers, then talk a little bit about what we've seen over the past few years happening in the market and some of the drivers and customer interactions that have shaped what we do as a company and kind of put us in a position to step outside of our core competency, which was the console server access and more into the everyday and the first day type of situations. Then I'll be introducing an enhancement that we've been working over the past several months. It's called for now RMF, stands for Routed Management Fabric. It's a network overlay that we hope to be the foundational piece of what we have to offer forward. And I can't wait to take you guys through that. And then I know you guys are not really here to hear me talk about all that stuff, but actually see some stuff and how that works. So I'll just preview and then hand over to Andy and Matt, who will be conducting the demo and showing some real day examples about how this RMF component can work. Without further ado, quick word on Opengear. We've been serving our customers for just about 2 decades now. We've always been a pioneer in the out-of-band space with innovations such as, true failover to cellular, smart out-of-band. But, more than 80% of the Fortune 100 customers trust us with our solution. And I think that speaks volume about the quality of the offering that we deliver and the partnerships and the trust that we've built on that. But their infrastructures have evolved, and new challenges have been thrown at us, and we have evolved as well to become more than just that insurance policy in the out-of-band space, and try and find new ways to help in the everyday or first day type of scenario. So we like to see ourselves right now as the core centerpiece of a network resilience strategy for our customers. Quickly about our platform. Really at the top, we have our Lighthouse Software Solution, which is a centralized and secure access portal. It does 2 things. One of them, helps with the management of the Opengear appliances. And then obviously with the connected resources downstream of that is near and dear to my heart. And then we have the appliances themselves, which provide the presence and proximity to the connected resources, to the racks where we serve. They come in different shapes and forms, and that greatly depends on the port density that a customer may need, or the brain power as well that's required there. For the past maybe several months, you may have seen our marketing colleagues put out together a new campaign it's really focused on how we can step outside of our core competency of helping on worst day kind of scenario when there is no network or something happens. And that's really been influenced by a lot of our customers and interactions. And what I mean by that is, getting into the everyday type of situations where we help customers simplify some of the management of that out-of-band space. and then also with deployments on first day type of scenarios. But before I move further, it's really one thing that I want to pause for a second and highlight, because I think this is really important about who we are. And our innovation is genuinely customer driven. And what I mean by that, many people can say that, but we're so fortunate and at the same time thankful for having customers that are working with us. I mean, we may not be the smartest people on the product team. Well, maybe Andy and Matt are on their fields, but our customers certainly are. And the fact that they're willing to work with us, to get engaged with us and show us, even test some of the things where we can help them. They've been asking us, hey, what else can I use you guys for? Have you thought about that? That's really unique to our space. I've never seen it in my career so far, and I'm extremely thankful for that. It really came down to kind of helping us come up with these three themes, which, starting from the bottom, we're the network when there is no network, right? That's the worst case kind of scenario, the insurance policy that a lot of people have been familiar with us. And then moving right at the top, we're also the network before there is a network. And lastly, but not least, we don't really recommend using your network to manage your network. So those kind of three things define what we're doing. But outside of those fancy words, let me just take you through a little bit of the journey and what we mean by that and how we can play outside of the space where we are. And really all starts with the fact that we've been serving the out-of-band space for 20 years. We know how to do that, right? That there's no question about that. So this is a case of flipping that coin, if you will. And what you see on the other side is really, the other time when there isn't a network is on the first day when it needs to be provisioned, it needs to be bootstrapped. And that's where we can help, think about how we can automate some of the setup and the activities that are happening on that first day, how we can generate some efficiencies. And then moving forward, if you use that resiliency platform that we offer to bootstrap the network, then we are connected to everything that your production network needs to operate, right? So why not utilize those connections that are there for things like monitoring, things like other configuration updates type of things. And then again, lastly, but not least, the realization comes in that the production network may not be available at all times, right? In general, all the fancy things like NetOps, DevOps, automation, templating, configuration scripts, those are associated as happening in the production network. But again, as I mentioned, the realization comes in when you think that there may not be, for some reason, a production network. Or what if you need like a separate space that it's at the same time integrated in your network, and you want to do different things like probing, staging, trying new things before you roll them out into production. And why not use those automation tools, playbooks, run tools that you have, or maybe even invent tools that you may need, and you can use in that out-of-band space. We abstract that because the interfaces and the way they're used, they're the same. You can use them in our network as well. In the context of what I've just said, right, I'd like to, as I mentioned, introduce now a concept, right, an enhancement that we've been working really for the past half a year, even more than that. That's actually, I've mentioned it before, but I will highlight it one more time. It has really been driven by our interactions with our customers. Their questions on, hey, what else can I use you guys from? Because that's driven from some of the realities in the market, right? Pressures on costs, on other things that are maybe coming from management. You guys are there. Can you think about how you can do more than just the serial connectivity? How can you go into the virtual space? How can you go into the IP space, right? So What we're talking about here, again, the name is, RMF for now, Routed Management Fabric, but what really is a robust, standard-based management fabric that allows IP-based connectivity. It enables that routed IP access in addition to all the serial stuff that we're doing by leveraging our proximity in the out-of-band space to the devices that actually need to be managed, that are connected to us. It's nothing proprietary. We're not getting, like really smart there and coming up with things that may not interact well, right? It's based on industry standards, right?
Is this like a hidden device at a location with like different consoles devices connected to it via IP? Is that what we're talking about?
It's actually not. It's going to be part of offered through our Lighthouse solution. So it's an enhancement within Lighthouse. It's a fabric, a management overlay, and you're going to see some of those details. Like I said, it's a network overlay that does use OSPF for dynamic routing, and all we're trying to do here is allow IP connectivity for users or machines, configuration management tools like Ansible and other things, to get to the devices or resources that need to be managed, regardless of how they are connected to us. It could be serial, USB, HTTPS, it could be service processors.
Oh, I got you.
iDRAC, it could be RDP. So all we're doing is having that overlay that'll, just like we're doing it with serial, to be able to now do it and enable that pipeline, that plumbing, if you will, for the things that manage to the things that need to be managed through us. We're trying to get out of the way, and we're not going to be the ones automating things. We're not going to be the ones, prescribing things to be done in a certain way. We just want to be there and enable in an as seamless as possible way for customers to use us in that separate out-of-band secure space. Does that make sense?
Oh, that answered that was the answer to my question, really.
Cool. And look, what this represents is the foundational part for us to be delivering enhanced functionality as we move forward. It may sound like a little bit far-fetched, but think about it as the analogy of the internet. We're building this, and there's things that we actually don't know that we're going to end up doing with it, but we're learning from our customers. And what we've learned so far is enough to give us confidence that there's so much that we can do right now. But then there's a whole bunch of things that we may not know, and we're going to learn, and we're going to be able to deliver. Let me just try and provide a little bit more context here, because where it gets to is with the advent of the standardized management interfaces, the management plane has been liberated from its proprietary, past. And I think that enables a future and, even a present, we're seeing it, where the network can and actually is able to be coded, right? The challenge that we see there is that, network engineers are not software engineers, and software engineers are not network engineers. That's the same reason we brought with us one of each here. And what I mean by that is, a software engineer, solutions architect, is able to design, everything that you guys see there in red, like, the CI/CD, the automation, the platforms, right? But those things do not talk directly to the thing that actually need to be managed on the right-hand side, if you will, or your left, depending on how you're looking. Think about the analogy of the automotive industry, where the people that are building or designing the robots to build on a factory line, they're not going to be the same people that connect and actually code those robots to actually build the cars. And the thing on the right-hand side, I mean, this is a little bit of a joke, but if you don't see your favorite tool there, or telemetry or automation platform, you need to talk to the search engine optimization guys of those companies. I just did a Google search, and that was what came up. But the point that I'm trying to make here is we're the part of this ecosystem. We're in an ecosystem that outside of the serial space where we know what we do there, we're helping gluing and bridging this gap between what a network engineer and a software engineer can do. And we provide that mesh, that overlay that helps people do things outside. And I know you're anxious and you necessarily came in to listen to me, but I'll just kind of introduce, if you will, try and set up, frame what we're about to demonstrate here based on this technology. And I'll start with a real use case example from one of our largest, Fortune 100 companies, where there's a fairly complex deployment, large, installation, where they're using a typical VAR, third-party installer, smart hands to basically rack and stack equipment. One, do all the legwork. As soon as the people are done, they pick up the phone and say, "Hey, I'm all ready. Are you ready to get going and configure everything going on there?" And that's where we come in with our second step. So we're going to help with provisioning ourselves, so the Opengear appliances. How we're doing that is, the Opengear appliance can power up, call home, if you will, on LTE, on cellular, reach out a enrollment portal. We'll be talking a little bit about that can be hosted, in the cloud, and basically say, "Hey, I'm here, right? Do something to me," right? Now the network admin sitting comfortably, wherever, can see that node being ready to be enrolled. The node can be enrolled into our Lighthouse platform. Of course, there's going to be a verification that the correct firmware version is in there and only be enrolled once it meets the criteria. And then once the node, the Opengear appliance, is enrolled into Lighthouse, this is pretty standard, where there's not a lot of new stuff in here. I'm just going for the sake of the flow. There could be different configuration items that are going to be applied. And then most importantly, the last step here is, as much as you guys may or may not like, Opengear to manage us, you're not buying our solution to just have another thing to manage. What you want to do with it is do something to the appliances that are connected and resources that are connected to us. Switches, routers, firewalls, VNFs, whatever that may be. So what we're going to show there is how you can do that at scale using a tool like Ansible that seems to be pretty popular nowadays, and going to demonstrate two things. One, bootstrapping that Cisco switch, for example, with deploying the correct firmware via Ansible through our operations manager appliances. And then there's a second element there, which is deploying more sensitive information such as passwords, IP addresses, where customers have made it very clear to us that they do not wish for that information to continue to reside on our solution. So it just needs to pass through over there. That's going to be one element. The second one is going to be utilizing this RMF piece of infrastructure to demonstrate clientless access, again, for a user that may be sitting outside of any kind of VPN connection, Starbucks or whatever other place, or a machine, to get through us, through the pipeline, to anything that they really need to manage on the other side, downstream of us. And in this case, we will have a whole suite of devices like a Dell iDRAC, a Fortinet, Arista, Juniper. So yeah, I hope this is going to go smooth. We have tested it. You always hope for that. And look, we're really excited to hear and to get challenged with questions and even hear potential feedback about things that we may shift course a little bit or adjust. It's part of the excitement of being here at Cisco, where on one hand, yeah, it is the interaction with our customers, but on the other hand, is conversations like this with subject matter experts that can direct and have always helped us with